This Never Throw in the Towel podcast episode is brought to you by UKIM Occupational Health and Wellbeing. They are a healthcare service company with a clear commitment of breaking the stigma and breaking the silence around conversations about mental health. Their mission is to try and tackle the problem with the nation's sick economy with the aim to keep people in work. I just want to say a huge thank you to UKIM for getting behind the Never Throw in the Towel podcast, which is conversations around mindset, mental health, and physical health, with the message of resilience, never giving in, and never throwing in the towel. Our aim is to help and inspire. Thank you. So, welcome to the first Never Throw in the Towel project. And before we get into it, speaking to our first guest, I'm just going to share a story which has led us to doing this podcast and doing this project. And the podcast and the project is called Never Throw in the Towel. The strapline is keep on living. And those were the words that I used right at the end of my grandma's eulogy. And that was describing her attitude towards life and her fighting spirit towards getting stage 4 cancer. Now, after that funeral, a gentleman came up to me outside the church and he thanked me for the eulogy. And he told me Grandma was an amazing woman. And the same night, he sent me a message request sharing with me that he had been massively struggling with his mental health and was in a dark place. But the words, never throw in the towel, really hit home with him. And that highlights something of the power of words and the power of a story. And the gentleman that we're speaking to today speaks amazing words and has an amazing story. And this podcast is all about adversity, getting through the dark place, never giving in. And we could not have got a better guest because this man is so passionate about this topic. And so introducing the ex-cruiserweight WBO world champion, the longest standing champion of all time, Sky Sports pundit, guest speaker, probably the best looking and coolest granddad in the UK, Johnny Nelson, MBE. Welcome.
If they only knew that was one take. You are grandma. He's good. Like, keep me away from the Sky Studios. Yeah, boys, welcome to my home.
Thank you.
I'm flattered, honoured. Get involved, dig deep, man.
Yeah, so blown away that you're our first guest. How this came about was Craig messaged me. He sent me a message saying Johnny Nelson's on LinkedIn. Drop me a message. And when you said yes, we were over the moon. We were blown away, but we weren't surprised because we know what type of bloke you are, and we've seen how much you give back and how passionate you are on this topic. And when I looked on you on LinkedIn, the first post that I seen was this, and you wrote, "For anyone feeling overwhelmed, challenged, or ready to give up, if me, a coward, can go on to become a world champion boxer, anyone can succeed. Hashtag don't give up. Hashtag mindset." Tell me those of words of passion. Where does all that come from?
I think I always say to people, and those that have heard it, they've heard it before. You've got to go through experiences, both good and bad, to get wisdom. There's no point in going through all those experiences in life and not doing anything with it. You've been wise with it, passing it on and trying to help others. To me, it's important. And I wouldn't put anybody in my shoes that I had to walk in to get to this point in my life. I wouldn't, because it's dark, it's lonely. At times, it's just like you've got nothing to set precedent against. But now I look back, that's why I find it so easy to say the journey is as important as the destination.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't change anything in regards to what happened over my life period to get to this stage in my life. I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting that you said you wouldn't change anything, because that's actually one of the questions that we were going to ask later. And I thought you would say that. The question is, would you change anything? And
No, because the person I am today and how I am today, and and I know how to inspire. I know how the difference between the path I choose when I wake up in the morning to go down that negative gully, and you just, once you get down that rat hole, you can't get out of the negativity, that negative vibe, and it affects your day. You've got a frown on your head all day, your head's burning you. Or you can think, you know what, I know where that leads to. I'm going this way. Yeah. This is a choice. It's a choice. And we don't realize how easy that choice is, because it's that little voice saying, yeah, but what about this? But what about that? But what about this? It's so easy to go there. And we always choose that because we do. And I think, well, why? I don't have to. I know it's there. I get it. I know what happens when I go down there. I've been down there many times. I don't like it. So I choose to be in this happy place. And I'm not being like it, being silly and just pretending all the world's all roses, but I just think I prefer to think positively rather than negatively, because I'm surrounded by a negative frame of mind from within. I can't blame anybody else. It was from me within. So once I understood the difference, that was it. Yeah. That's it. Pop upside down, turn it around.
In the early days, where did that never give in attitude come from?
It came from the fact that I wasn't very good at school. I wasn't very good around adults. I spoke to adults, I'd start crying. I just feel nervous around them. I don't know why. And I was a proper mummy's boy. So that was when asked in one of my talks, what was your I was being interviewed, what's your best memory? My best memory was laid on my mum's couch as a 9-year-old, a day off school. And I can't remember what was playing on the radio. I think it was January, sick and tired, you've been angry. Old tripe, you don't know, you guys too young. My mum was cleaning up and I was laid on the couch. I thought, this is the best day ever.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, we were speaking off camera and you touched on just how much you love coming home.
Yeah.
And just kind of like that kind of safe space.
Yeah. So, and that's what I say. We'll vary, we'll flip and flop. And when people talk about wealth, that's my wealth. Yeah. My wealth is family. My wealth is just, it's not about what you got in the bank. It's not about what car you drive. It's not about what jewels you wear. I ain't got a lot of that. But what I have got is I got peace when I close my door. I've got peace. I've got my family, and I know my daughters are doing what they've got to do. They've got to go through experience in life. Your family's your wealth. Your peace is your wealth. And once you understand that, money makes life a little easier, domestically easier, but that's all it does. And so when people are chasing this and they're chasing that, and they realize when they get there, I'm still not happy. That's when real trouble starts, because you're trying to chase a fix.
I think it's especially in the modern day world where we have a huge shop window of comparison with social media and stuff. Just kind of like them fundamentals, what you've just said about your family, your health being wealth. I think it's so important to kind of have that attitude and mindset.
It's so easy to say it, but in reality, when you're younger, you don't appreciate it. Now I think, oh my God, this is like the amount of times I've had the opportunity to move to London, and go down there, and I think, nah, I'm all right here. And down in London, it's tough for people, but it's great for work and opportunities. But are you living to work or working to live? And it's about quality of life. And to me, quality of life is more important than anything.
Yeah. And when, you've obviously got that mindset now, but having watched your interviews before and done a lot of homework and stuff, you obviously touch on, you never used to be that guy.
No, not at all.
You never used to be that guy. So when was there a point where you kind of start getting a bit more self-awareness and start getting a bit more self-belief?
Well, to put some meat on the bones, you're going to start at the beginning. The beginning was I used to think upside down. And when I say it, people, what do you mean by that? I used to think if I did something good, I didn't think I was good. I just thought they were bad. So if I won a fight, I didn't think I was good. I just thought he was really bad. So I was never lifting myself up and giving myself the credit and the self-belief. I just thought, God, he was really bad. God, you were lucky there, Johnny. And it's like that imposter syndrome. And I never wanted to fight. I went to the gym to make friends. So fighting, boxing wasn't, remember, my happy place is being at home on the couch. I didn't want anything else. I didn't want to fly the world. I didn't want to be a world champion. I didn't want to be rich. My happy place was there. So now and again, I dip outside, come back, I'm back home again. I'm good. So going to the gym, I went to make friends. So any successes I had there, I didn't think I was getting better. I just thought they were bad. So 13 amateur fights, I only won 3. I only won 3 amateur fights, and I didn't care. That wasn't important to me. I was like with mates. So I kind of got a second home in the gym, and that was my comfortable place where I was in an environment around people that I was comfortable with. It was fun. I was at home with. I never wanted anything more than that. So winning and losing that fight, I didn't really care. And then even when Brendan said, "I want you to turn professional," everybody laughed, and they don't mean behind my back. They laughed. Said he's rubbish. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. You know, all the lads are there because I've got to compete because everybody else is doing it in the gym. I lost my first 3 on the trot, and in my head, this is the example of thinking upside down. I thought if I lose 5 fights, I'll go and get a proper job. And so when I won the 4th fight, I went, damn it. Okay, start again. So I'm waiting to lose 5 fights on the trot so I can go and get a proper job. And I didn't realize I was good until I was in my mid-20s. And I mean, to that point, I won, lost, and drew. And I had a lot of heartache and name calling and people, you know, labeling me as a coward, labeling me as you know, useless. And so from school, not being smart, coming in from school, not being able to talk to an adult, you know, without breaking down or crying or whatever, from people not saying you're very good. I thought, well, I am. But I understood I'm not getting something here because we're all in the same gym. We're all doing the same thing. Why are they succeeding and I'm not? And I always had that. Why can they do it and I can't? And so I knew I wasn't getting something, but I just didn't know what it was. So it wasn't until time had gone on, I was mistaking nerves for fear. I was a nervous kid. I identified I was a nervous kid. So when I was in a nervous situation, you've got butterflies and your heart's pounding, you're sweating a bit. I thought I was scared, fight or flight. But actually a nervous kid. If I'd understood what nerves were, then you can mold them into exactly how you want them to be and be an amazing athlete, genius, you know, I don't know, astronaut, whatever. But once I understood the difference between nerves and fear, it's like flip and flop. I thought, I get it now. I'm not a coward. I believed I was a coward because everybody said I was a coward, and I didn't understand what these feelings inside were. I believed I was useless because everybody said I was useless, and I thought, well, I kind of am because, you know. And once I started to understand, actually, you're not a coward. I'd put myself in. I'd be like a kamikaze pilot. I'd put myself in situations what used to terrorize me before, and I'd get the feeling, think, okay, I'm not scared. This is nerves. This is good. That'd be me. You know, and when I talk to kids and when I talk to many people, that line itself identified the difference between nerves and fear. I did a talk and there was a professor in the crowd. I told her the story about me mistaking nerves for fear. Afterwards, she came to me and said to me, you do know, you know, there's been studies and everything on this, and being nervous is exactly the same feeling as being scared. It's just how your brain computes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's your understanding of it. And it's exactly the same. Yeah. So when people think I'm scared, if people keep telling you you're scared and you're a coward, you're going to believe it because you know no better. But until someone explains, you're thinking, I'm not scared. I'm just a nervous person.
Aye. You know what? I've never heard it like put like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just separating nerves to fear.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us as well, we always will shy away from them feelings.
Mm-hmm.
We'll kind of like, no, I don't want to, I'm rubbish at public speaking or job interview or whatever it is. And I think just actually learning that knowledge.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what. So when I do a talk, I've seen people. It's like a light bulb coming on. Oh my God, that's me. You know, when they realize I'm not scared, I'm just nervous.
Yeah.
And some people from a young age understand. You know, when they get that nervous feeling, they understand how to harness it and make the most of it. Some idiots like me don't. And it takes me, a lot of ups and downs, sadness and dramas to actually think, come on, Johnny. My eureka moment was when I realized I was actually good. And I'd look back, it was like a quick rewind of your life. I thought, idiot. I was in Lyon in France, sparring with the world champion, Fabrice Tioso. And I was beating him up every day, but not beating him up, because if you're the sparring partner and you beat up the guy you're sparring with, you're going to get the sack. I was on £100 a day. So I didn't want to get the sack, but I knew I could handle him. So you'd hit someone, but just pull the shot a little bit just as it lands. So he gets hit, but you do it where he feels as though he's managed that, he's handled that, he's got the way. But then when they're trying to hit you, you're slipping, you're blocking. And so you're kind of beating someone up without them knowing they're getting beat up. And I was doing this with the world champion, and every day. And the coach would be like in the far corners responding like, and I'm taking it easy with him. And this guy didn't realize I'm hustling him. I'm thinking, you're rubbish. I can beat you. And then it wasn't until I came outside, it was a sunny day like this, I came outside and a stretched limousine was outside, chauffeur driven, a beautiful woman sat in the bike. And this woman waved to me and I'm like, I waved. I'm like, damn. And then I got a voice behind me, see you tomorrow, Johnny. And she wasn't waving at me. She was waving at her husband, Fabrice, who I'd just been sparring with. And I turned around and Fabrice went and got in the car and they just drove off. And I'm stood there at the side of the street thinking, what the hell? And then I'm stood there like, and then all of a sudden it all just tumbled down on me. It was like someone had opened a wardrobe and all the clothes had fallen out. I'm like thinking, Johnny, you're beating this guy up every day of the week. You're staying in a day little bed sit. You're getting paid £100 a day. You're his sparring partner. He's just driven off in a stretch limo with a beautiful woman to his chateau. You're an idiot. And I thought, and I'm stood in the street talking to myself, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Dark cloud came and it started pouring down with rain. And I started laughing. I was like a madman. I started laughing. I thought, I deserve it. I deserve to get wet. And I walked in the rain. I'm just shaking my head thinking, I'd been out there for ages with this guy. And it was that moment when I saw the limo and I saw him drive off. And I thought, why? The difference between him and me was that he could perform in public. And he understood the difference between nerves and fear. I wasn't scared. I was a nervous person. When I got back to the hotel, phoned Brendan Ingle up, coach, trainer, mentor, amazing man, who put me in that situation. He wanted me to find out for myself. I'd been doing this for 6 years as a sparring partner in East Germany, all over Europe. He wanted this phone call. I said, Bren, I'm never going to lose again. And he went, why is that? And I told him the story and he started laughing. He said, marvelous. Come home. That was my day.
Wow. Well, that's unbelievable, that.
Yeah. Do you think your mindset changed at that point towards training? Because that was your job.
Yeah.
So did you work harder after that? Or would you say you even worked less before?
No, I worked harder. I worked harder because now I understood. I wasn't fighting with this chip on my shoulder thinking I was a coward, that I was scared. And I always say, you try and run from fear. You've got to learn to run with fear. Make fear your friend. And so all of a sudden, when you make fear your friend, you're running with it, you're powerful. Because when you're scared of you're in a situation where you're scared of things and you're trying to avoid things. You don't want to look where the fear is. You don't want to put your mind there because you know it's going to get the better of you. You got to face it. Think, what's scaring me here? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? I'm going to get hit. I'm going to get hit. And what? What else? I'll get killed. Okay, you did. And what? And I'm facing all the things that I'm trying to not think about. That's facing the fear. And then once you look at that and hold its hand, say, all right then, if I'm going to go, we're all going. I'm on it. I'm not being a kamikaze pilot. I'm running with fear. So all the things that I don't want to put I don't want to see, I don't want to face up to, I'm facing them and I break them down. That's a transferable skill. Now I do it now. If there's ever a problem, I think, right, break this down. Look at it.
Yeah.
When I talk about wealth, happiness, I say, what is truly going to make you happy? Is it a car? Is it a house? Is it a holiday? Is it a flash watch, jewelry? How's that making you happy? Because you'll have it. Nice endorphin rush for a minute. Then what? What is happiness? What makes you happy? And the simple things. So you break it down to the simple things that make you happy, not the things that we see on media, a nice car, a beautiful holiday, beautiful husband or wife. You break down what truly makes you smile, lifts your spirit, makes you lighter. And then once you identify that, it's powerful because the things you thought were valuable before actually aren't that valuable because you know what your happiness is. But not a lot of people don't know what truly makes them happy.
And what was it then? So, you know, when you were in the locker room before the fight, were you still feeling the same things, but actually you were just acknowledging them, and you were kind of like
1000%.
Yeah,
I felt the same things, and so my worry now was the day I don't feel them, I'm done. So once I understood that feeling that I had in the dressing room all the time, once I understood I wasn't scared. It was nerves, and nerves were good because nerves make you like a deer in a wood. You're on point, you're sharp, you're looking, you're alert for everything. Nerves are good. So once you made that your friend, fear your friend, it's actually nerves. Once you made it your friend, you don't understand it, then you can perform massively. But if you're in a fight and you think you're scared and you're under pressure, you're going to do what scared people do, which is fly. You're going to grab, you're going to hold. That's what I used to do. I'd grab and hold because I thought I was scared. I was scared of the worst case scenario. And I'd grab and hold and try and avoid putting myself in that situation because I was scared. When you understand that feeling you've got, Johnny, is nerves, come on, harness it, get hold of it. You're slipping, bam, you're coming back. You're moving, you're chasing after it, you're on it, you're alert, you're on point. And so once I was in the dressing room and I had that feeling in my stomach, I'd get like a little mad smile on my face thinking, Ray now. And Brendan knew, and my silly, it wasn't silly, it worked for me. In the dressing room, I had to be the last person to leave. I had to be that, nobody else could be in there. I had to be the last person to walk out that room. And I turned around and take a mental picture of everything. And before I walked out of the dressing room, I put on an invisible suit of armor.
really.
I'd put on an invisible suit of armor. I'd go through the motion, put it on. Brendan would see, and he'd just carry on. I don't know what you'd be thinking. Oh my God. I'd put it on, I'd step into it. I'd buckle it up. I'd be doing that. I step into it, and then Brendan knew, said, everybody out, let's go. And I'd walk out. Back was out the room, looking, checking everything. Because in my head, I'm thinking, I ain't getting knocked out today. I'm not getting knocked out today. I'm remembering everything that's happening here. And that memory of that, because when you get knocked out, you kind of lose your memory. But I'm thinking, that memory there, I am not getting knocked out today. You lot, I've clocked you. It's like I'm talking to my own little army there. I've clocked you. I'll be back. My towel's there. My clothes are there. I'm clocking. I turn around. Come on, let's go, Brent. I'm in. I'm on. You know, it's just a ritual that worked for me.
Yeah. No, I think you've probably got to do that. I mean, Craig touched on before. I've had two, but I've stepped in the ring twice, and Craig's done it once, and it's that locker room, them feelings that you get in that locker room.
Yeah,
I've done lots of different sports, but going out to have a boxing fight, there's nothing like them nerves.
You can be exhausted before you've even got in the ring. Mental exhaustion is a lot worse than physical exhaustion. And I mean, exhaustion can come in all disguises. So when you walk into the ring and the fans are there, your heart's pounding, you're sweating, and everybody's there, you're on point, you're walking into the ring, you're thinking this is going to happen. You've got all these thoughts and memories and thinking what's going to happen. Do this when I get in there. Am I going to be tired? Am I going to be fit? Oh, my mum's there. How you doing? Oh, my mate's there. I've got to get, oh my God, he looks big. All these things, your mind is overdrive. It's getting you tired. You're on a wheel. You get in the ring, you think, God, I'm knackered. I'm shattered. And if that is not fit, it don't matter what you do there with the body.
Yeah.
That has got to be, that's your power, that's your engine. So once that's strong, you can always train. But if that is strong, the human body can do amazing things.
Yeah.
But it's that.
It's interesting before as well how you touched on that inner voice.
Yeah.
And, you know, people will look at you, you know, have you on a pedestal, or, you know, you're an ex-world champion boxer, you know, you're a great speaker. But mentioning before that, actually, do you still get sometimes that doubt? And is it just kind of like the same with the nerves? it's the same, but you acknowledge it.
Yeah, because I said I used to think upside down, and I did it in life. I just didn't do it in boxing. I did it in life, and the realization, I'm like, Johnny, you do it in everything. You think I don't belong here. I should be here. You know, I'm like, yes, you should. And I look back and I think of all the things I've been through. So when that voice pops up and says, you can't do this, the other voice says, yes, you can. You've done this, and this. Look at you're missing the wood for the trees. Or vice versa. I know all the things I've done in life, and their experiences, both good and bad. So I deserve where I am. So I'm comfortable talking about most things, because when I've been in a little rotten bedsit by myself, going to the gym, fear of getting beaten up every day, being in a country where they're saying, do not come out at night time, because you ain't many black faces like you, stay in your hotel. So all I could do is leave my bedsit and go to the gym and come back again. When you're not in fearful situations, these are real. And the only opportunity I had was to go home. But I always knew when I was there, if I go home, this is going to affect every aspect of my life. It means I'm going to quit and everything when it gets hard. And that's one thing I knew. So when I was in those down situations where, and I think to myself, well, can I do this? Yes, I can. And I just look back at what I've done. I'm like, nah, nobody's done what you've done, Johnny. Have a word with yourself. So that voice that says, can you, can't you? It's really quiet. It's really, now and again it'll pop up and I'll just bark it and say, nah, get out of here. You know, because it's self-validation. It's really corny, but you know what? If you don't love yourself, why would you expect anybody else to love you? If you're not nice to yourself, why would you expect people to be nice back to you? If you don't give yourself credit, if you don't believe in yourself, why on earth and how on earth can you expect others to? So we can hustle, we can put a front on, but you know when you close your eyes what the lie is. You know what you can and can't do. So deep down, no matter how nice people are being to you, thinking they're only being nice because of X, Y, Z, you're not actually really appreciating they're being nice or they're respecting you because they really believe in what you can do. If you don't believe in you. So I believe in me. I believe in what I can do. I believe you can put me in front of a room of 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 people, and I will tell my story, because you can always remember the truth. You can never remember a lie. And my experiences are positive experiences that have got me to this point in my life. So when I have to stand and talk and tell my story, that's my point. That is why I'm here. I've gone through experiences, and it'd be a shame to actually not share those experiences to lift somebody else. If me just saying, don't mistake nursery for fear, helps some young girl or young boy to actually look at life differently, my job's done with you. If me telling you a story of how I've came from zero to hero, and being a hero is actually more responsibility, there's more work than actually trying to get there. Me telling that and it lifts somebody else, that's my job. So I feel very comfortable talking to you guys. I feel very comfortable talking to anybody because I've done it. I'm thinking, well, God's put me on a path for some reason. Yeah. And if this is what it is, boxing was a part of my life. I do not identify myself as Johnny Nelson, the former world champion. That was a part of my life. But what I did through up to this point in my life, I think this is my point. This is the reason why I'm here. I inspire. I lift. I can open your eyes. I can let you see things you're not seeing. That's because I've had to go through certain things. I'm not a messiah. I'm not a genius. I'm not a God. I'm put on this path to learn a lesson, to help other people learn lessons about themselves. Yeah.
You've overcome a lot of self-doubt by yourself, but who did you talk to? Who inspired you?
Brendan Ingle. Brendan Ingle he was the best. I was so fortunate to meet such an amazing man. Brendan Ingle, he was my coach. Brendan Ingle, a little Irishman from a place called Ringsend in Dublin. And Brendan, he was one of 13, and he was a Roman Catholic, and he was so unorthodox. How he taught us, how he let us look at life differently. He said, schools teach you to remember. I'm going to teach you to think. My education started when I met Brendan. I left school with no qualifications. Yeah. I had the handwriting and reading ability of probably an 11-year-old. Brendan was the man that's when my education started. And I used to see him, he was a father of 5. And I'm thinking, how do you have time for us as well in the gym and our problems and our family's problems? You know, this guy, genius. He'd play his words, he'd play the thick paddy. He'd have his hands in his pocket, he'd have his hat on and his big rigger boots on, you know, in the most, you know, oddest places. And he'd talk like with it, he turned the accent on a lot. So people really underestimated him. Played a fool to catch the wise. You go in his house, whose bookshelf was ridiculous. Marcus Aurelius, Genghis Khan, Adolf Hitler. He had books about everything. This guy was so smart. And his wife, Alma, she was a posh English woman. So to put those two together didn't work. And Brendan, when he was learning to read, if he was reading a passage in a book and he didn't understand it, he'd say, Alma, what does this word mean? What's that? And he'd stop. And Alma would be like, oh, Brendan! She'd be telling him. He learned through life's lessons. He was the one I spoke to. He was my mentor. He was the person I looked at and thought, at the time, I didn't appreciate what he was doing. And it wasn't until I got older, and it wasn't until now I'm old and he passed, I thought, I get it. At the time when you tell me about, you know, Genghis Khan, Marcus Aurelius, Floyd Patterson, Ali, I'm thinking, Brendan, why are you telling me about all these dead people? What about me? But what he's doing is he's telling me something because he wants me to understand all these people that we put up there as amazing people are just people.
Yeah.
And there's no difference between you and them. But they just did it. And he was trying to normalize the successful people that we revere to and think, oh my God, they've done X, Y, Z. And because he wants you to sit in your power, own who you are. And some people get it. Some people don't. There are so many more talented people than me in the gym. So I should never have achieved what I've achieved because of the talent that was there. But I did, and people can't understand why. So when asked why, I said, because I listened. That was it. I just listened.
Yeah. So back in the day then, so when you were world champion of probably the most alpha male sport going, the money, the fame, good looking bloke, and you're obviously a very humble man, but back then with all of them things in play, did the ego ever get in the way or play a factor or anything like that?
You learn a lesson about ego. Ego can be your biggest friend or your biggest enemy. Ego can destroy people. Ego, you need to control it. If it gets the better of you, you're sleeping with the enemy. You've got to understand how to control it. I didn't have an ego because I actually never thought I had that imposter syndrome. But once I became world champion, I know how much hard work I'd done. We were poor. And I mean, it makes me sound really old, but we had a tin bath. So we bathed.
Like an ice bath.
No. We had a tin bath. So our baths were in the kitchen, and Mum would be boiling pots on the stove and putting hot water in it. That was our bath. We were skinned. Our Christmas presents were the toys of the broken toys or the rejected toys of the kids in the mental hospital that Mum worked at. We were skinned, and I never ever forget what that was. Like, I remember being young, thinking, I used to hear Mum and my dad, talk about how we're going to pay the electric bill. The insurance man's coming knocking on the door, once a week, and we'd have to hide. And I'd hear him talking about it, I'm thinking, you know what? When I get older, I'm going to make sure my kids don't hear this because I want to be a kid. I want to enjoy and just like being free of light. But I'm turning lights off in the house. We all were. You're very conscious of what we don't have, so you're trying to help. And I thought, when I get older, my kids, and probably to my own detriment, I want my kids to enjoy growing up. I don't want them to worry about not having. And that can be a that can kick back on you. But in reality, I just thought I understood how it affected me. So once I'd achieved and become world champion, not in a million years, it wasn't enough. I thought, is that it? And is that it? I want more than this. It did make me happy. I got it, and I thought, is that what this is all about? So this is why I probably stayed champion for so long, because I knew I'd not reached the end of my journey. I knew It's actually harder staying champion than actually becoming champion. And people don't realize that, because when you're champion, you now have to prepare yourself for people that have been preparing for you for months, for years, that have been watching you forever and a day. When you're the challenger and you're changing the title, you know what you're after. You know what your focus is. You know you want to get to the top of that hill to beat him. He does this, he does that. That's how he talks, that's how he moves, that's how strong he is. You've got to focus. When you're the champion, the hunted, you've got to be prepared for everybody and anybody that you don't even have time to get ready for. So therefore, all your skills, everything you've done, you've got to believe in it. Self-validation. So I didn't have an ego. I believed in myself. If I say I can do something, I'll say it with confidence. And unfortunately, people take that as being arrogant.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with owning what you can do. There's bullshit, and there's owning what you can do. So once you own it and you put it out there, you say, I can do this. That's cool. If you can't do it, you have a mistake, right? And say, all right, then I'll learn. But if I'm asked something, I'll say, yeah, I can do that. All right, no, I can't do that. But it's not arrogance. And that was, so once I became champion and the belief came, that was the day I really believed I was the best fighter in the world. And there's 7.888 billion people on this earth. And I thought I could beat every single cruiserweight here. And be it true or not, I had to have that self-belief and confidence in myself, self-validation in myself that I could to stay champion. And so, because if you go in there half-hearted, no matter how much you try and con everybody in front of you, you know. So arrogance was not my problem.
Yeah.
And that's a phenomenal journey, going from, losing your first 3 fights, your poor amateur career, to world champion, a real high. What have been the lows?
The lows, probably losing Brendan, losing my mum. What else? That's really it, really.
Yeah, I think it's. This podcast kind of. When I hear you talk about Brendan, my grandma brought me up, and this magical journey that it's. This project that we've set up, this podcast, has come from the words when I used at my grandma's eulogy, never throw on the towel. And it's just like, it's just a magic journey. And, when I touched on before about you being literally our perfect guest, and I honestly think that, because one of the main messages of the project, we always say talking and vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness.
Oh God, yeah.
And you've got some tears in your eyes, but that it's just the strength from being like that. And what like, when did that, being fighting man, when did you kind of not care about kind of like, shown weakness or what, and stereotypical weakness, but actually it's a huge strength.
You've got to face up to it, because if you don't, it will terrorize you. You've got to be able to be in a position where you think, if you keep trying to avoid facing things, it's always going to be there. It's there. And so when you get yourself into a position where you think you face it, you face that fear, something I've done all my life, I faced the fear.
Yeah.
I knew I had to face it at some point.
Yeah.
And so some days you can talk about it freely, some days it catches you.
Yeah.
But you've got to face your fear.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're weak.
No.
And I used to think it was. I'd get frustrated when I start getting upset talking about Brendan and Mum, because I'd get upset, and I couldn't get the message across about how amazing these people were. And then sometimes I can this is who they were, this is what they did. But sometimes it just catches you. I don't feel ashamed of that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I can't speak for women. As men, we're idiots because we don't talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're idiots because we don't comfort each other to say, that's not a bad thing, mate.
Yeah.
That's life.
Totally. I think that's one of the main messages, what we're trying to get out there. Like, I do speaking events, and one of the things that I do is I open it up to the audience, and I say to the women, anyone who's felt anxious, feeling down in a dark place, hands up who've spoke about it. If you've told someone, all the women
hands go up.
All the
That's
women
right.
put their hands up. Then when I open it up to the men, you've just got hardly anyone puts their hands up.
I think it's for fear of looking weak. It's for fear of speaking to the wrong person. It's a fear of not having that right person or knowing who that right person is, that mentor is or could be. It's a fear of actually laying your heart and soul out and being vulnerable, knowing somebody sees you, that weakness. We as men, we feel there's a responsibility that we've got to have this front. And I'm not saying, you've got to be weak. What I'm saying is, if you own your emotions, that's emotional maturity. You own it. Say, yeah, this is who I am. Don't make me. I did the hardest job in the world. I know I'm not a coward because I proved it to myself. I know I'm not weak because because of the journeys I've been through to get to this point in my life. So and to deal with grief, it's very hard. It's something that you don't wish upon anybody. We're all going to deal with grief. And so it's how you deal with it. Women, they kind of self-medicate because they talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right? And then most people are paid £200 to a therapist to do that. Women talk to each other and they're self-medicating all the time. And they may go round and round and round. Guys, we actually keep it there. There's a term loopy because we keep it there. And it's until it comes out of there, that's when we start making ourselves better. But we keep it there, it gets worse. Because
that's a great point. Yeah.
Because it's ping, 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 and it could be this, it could be that. The fear of what the worst thing that can happen is actually worse than the thing you're actually worried about.
Yeah.
So we keep it there. Once it comes out of there, we stop looping. It comes out of there. You're going to get some reaction back. Then you're going to talk, and then you're going to think, hold on a minute. You're going to discuss and weigh up.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
And we don't have those conversations. And as men, we need to let other men be comfortable about doing that. You're not weak.
Yeah.
You just got to find the right person that you feel comfortable with. If you're going to have that conversation. I don't know you guys. Yes, I get upset, but I just think, you know what? I'm comfortable because I know it doesn't make me any less of a man.
Yeah.
So I just think guys have got to get to the point where they're comfortable.
Yeah.
Where if you're going to have a conversation, you're going to have some emotional maturity, then you're going to own it.
And I think you get 3/4 of reported suicide are male. And I think when you that's what you see when you open it up to the audience where all the women put their hands up and then none of the men. And it's just, like I said, this is just one of the main messages really of actually switching our mindset, talking to strength.
Guys, we all think it's just happening to us. It's lonely. If you've got problems, it's lonely. If you asked, how you doing? I'm fine. And I'm quite sure many of us know somebody that's committed suicide. And we've probably spoken to them just before they did it. And you would have no idea because we're great liars.
Yeah.
We're great con men. And we do it to the points where you'll say everything and anything like as though it's all good.
Yeah.
But the only person you cannot escape from when you're in that state is yourself. And when you close your eyes, you can't sleep at night. Because you're constantly thinking about these things. And whatever you're doing, no matter how happy the situation is, it's there in the back of your mind because you're not sharing it. You're not dealing with it. Deal with it one step at a time. What's the worst case scenario that could happen? Bar death. It's running with fear. It's running with the thing that you're uncomfortable with. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. It doesn't make you any. And once you've done it, you'll think, actually, it's not as bad as what I thought. And you may actually speak to someone and avoid that person again because you think, God, I laid my heart and soul out to that person. You might do that, but you got to speak. Even if you've got to get a stranger that's not in your social circle, that you'll probably not bump into at all. You got to speak to somebody because it will be worse than meeting your worst enemy if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. On a lighter note, I'm a barber. And I love cutting hair. You love cutting grass.
Oh,
talk me through where does that passion come from then?
That's my happy place.
Is it?
Yeah, it's my happy place. And sometimes when I've been wherever I've been to some big flash restaurant or event down in London or America or whatever, But this is my happy place when I cut my grass and I'll have the music playing and I'm like chuckling to myself. Or sometimes I get in the front paddock and jump on the sit-on lawnmower with the earphones on. And I'm like, that's me. I'm proper, but it's the little things because it's my time. It's my place where I think I'm going to do that and that. And then
what's your favourite tool?
It's seeing the grass get cut and it's like a perfect kaya cut. And you just can think, oh my God, look at this. And like, yes. That's it. That's like a ball. It's like beautiful, and you're tapping yourself on the back. And so
it's instant gratification as well, though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is.
And because you clean a lot, don't you?
I love cleaning.
That's what I'm saying. And when you do it, I thought I'd share it with people because I found I laughed to myself thinking, I'm going to share this with people, see if they like it as well. The amount of people that love it. And you know,
what's the term you use? Grass cutting,
grass mother cutters. Yeah, grass mother cutters. Even that alone made me chuckle because if you say it quick, you might yourself. So to me, I just think it's just a little grass plant, a little silly thing where it'll make you smile, make you laugh. It's nothing serious, but it's something. The little things like you like cleaning, something like that. So how many guys actually think I'm not letting anybody see I'm cleaning? If you did something like that, people say you're cleaning, I'm like, yeah, that's me, that. Yeah. I'm like that. It's just getting, when I do talks, when I do anything, my whole point is I want to be able to talk to people in the crowd and I want them to look at me and think, I know somebody like him. He's like my next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And so doing that, what you do, there's a lot of people that think that. What I do, a lot of people that think I love cutting grass. A lot of people would love to be a hairdresser. Actually, I was a hairdresser at one point.
Oh,
so,
really?
so you didn't know that, did you?
No.
But it's the little simple things that pleases. That's happiness. It is not. I swear to God, you will chase wealth and happiness forever and a day if it's about wealth, and you will never be happy. I know a lot of very rich, sad people. Yeah. All right, 4, right, but they're rich. They could. You know, there's only 10%. Of the UK population that actually don't have a mortgage. And we all think, I want to be in that position where I don't have to worry about paying my mortgage, which would be a great position. And those 10%, are they happier than us? No, they've just got one less worry about paying the mortgage every month. You know, I'd love to, and that's the situation. It's the little things that you value. Yeah. If it's cleaning, if it's cutting hair, if it's cutting your grass, if it's cooking, I love cooking. You know, it doesn't make me any less of a man because these were allegedly pink jobs. I love cooking. You know what I mean? So once that's where ego starts to mess with you. And ego stops you from doing things that make you happy. Yeah. Ego prevents you from actually being you.
Yeah.
And once you've got that in check, it's on point.
Well, I remember that was, my background was I won Big Brother back in 2005.
I knew you. I knew it.
And I remember for such a long time, when the money, the fame dried up, and then it actually got to the point where I need to get a job here. I didn't want to get a job because at the time my ego, pride, paranoia of what I'd cooked up in my head, what people would think, because for such a long time I was known as Anthony from Big Brother, and it just got worse and worse. And once I sacked that off, and I mean, it got to a really bad point where I pretty much had no choice. But once I eliminated that and think, you know what? No one cares. It's all bullshit. You're going to have to get a job. And once I made that step, everything else just started building momentum.
You know, you're saying that. That is such a boxer thing and sport thing. I can only speak for boxing, and everybody thinks every boxer gets Anthony Joshua kind of money. Whereas really, when I started boxing, I had 3 part-time jobs. One was working at a burger place, Wimpy. One was working at a shoe place, Wade Smith selling trainers. One was working at Next. I had to fit all these jobs around my boxing. People don't realise when you box, that's the only time you get paid. And winning and losing, you know, determines what you're going to get paid in the next fight. But you're struggling in between. But most fighters want to give the perception that I'm all right, I've got it all going on, and they're skint, they've got nothing, and they get themselves in debt, and more debt, and more debt, and more debt, to the point where I have a friend, I need to want mine, Harold Graham, an amazing fighter. He was like an amazing fighter. and Harold Graham was the one that was expected to become world champion to do it all. And the fight game, he'd finished boxing. He hasn't got a pot to pee in. He's got nothing. And he struggles actually being around in Sheffield now. So he's moved to London. He lives in assisted living in London. He's got nothing. And we keep saying, Harold, come back up to Sheffield this way. You've got people that love you, people that look out for you, you've got kids here. And he can't, because in his head, it's like he feels like a goldfish in a bowl, where everybody thinks.
Everyone wants to ask the questions, though, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Well, kid him, he used to be X, Y, Z. And there's people that probably idolize you that are financially much better off than you are. And so your ego gets the better of you. You want to make out as I can buy all the drinks. I can do all this. Your ego gets the better of you. And again, that's why you'll get a lot of men putting themselves in a situation where they put themselves under immense pressure because ego's got the better of them. And that's where ego, you've got to rein that bad boy in.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a little bit about the lows. What was the proudest moment of your life?
Proudest moment was winning the world title. One of them, winning the world title. And that wasn't for me. Again, I didn't identify myself by the boxing and think I'm a boxer, so that's me. It was because I gave something back to Brendan, because of my humble beginnings of having 13 amateur fights, winning 3, lose my first 3 on the trot. Brendan came under a lot of stick because his coaching methods were very unorthodox. And so whenever I lost, it reflected on him. And so to the point where I was vilified in boxing. I was a coward. I was useless. I was terrible. Brendan stuck with me from the amateurs all the way through that point of becoming world champion. And I thought, you know what, that is loyalty. He was loyal to me. He showed me loyalty. I showed him undeniable loyalty. To this day, I'm always loyal to Brendan.
Yeah.
And so when I won the world title, and it wasn't even prepared, and I did the interview afterwards, you know, I complimented him. You know, what he did for us, saying his system works. Someone like me shouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for him. And I went into it. I had no natural talent, no natural raw ability. I am the gym. This is who I am. Basically, it's him that did it. That was my proudest moment, because that was something I couldn't buy.
Yeah.
I couldn't buy to give him as a gift. That was my proudest moment, to give credit where credit was due. Now, it wasn't about, yes, I'm the Donny. It was about him. And so because it wasn't pre-scripted, it was from my heart. He then knew that no matter what, you know, I'm diehard, man. I'll be loyal to you for the rest of my life. Because there's many times where he said it would have made no difference to him if he didn't train me or not. He could have said, Johnny, come out of the gym, go and do something else. He didn't.
Yeah.
He wanted what was best for me.
Yeah.
He wanted me to better myself. And even then, he understood boxing is just a part of your journey. And I understood when I became world champion, you know, I thought, nah, this is just part of it. There's a lot more to life than this.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the sweetest feelings. And the other one was getting the MBE again.
Yeah.
That was for Brendan. You know, to me, you know, he'd said it years before about, you know, you want to go for an MBE. And I went, nah, but I don't want that. Why? I said, because I'm not you. You're a good man. You know, they give them to anybody. He said, no, they don't, Johnny. You're an idiot. And then when I was awarded the MBE, I'm actually really proud. And this is for him. So whenever I talk about that, when I talk about the world title, I don't talk about me. I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. I talk about Brendan. Because if it wasn't for him, none of this would have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that kind of shows just everything about you as a bloke, really. I mean, just like, it was very surreal us coming to Johnny and Nelson's house today. You know, we're fans, and then it's just like, yeah, come on in, sound. And I think that says a lot about you, to be fair, mate. You know, you mentioned the word journey, and one of the questions I'm going to ask is, life is a journey. What is your best story? What is your best story that you're allowed to say on a podcast? Is Is there anything that springs to mind?
Oh, there's a couple. There's a couple. I'm trying to think. Man, there's a couple. The most famous
I
one.
can see you mind.
And I'm trying to think, which one shall I go with? There's a couple. I'll stick with the more popular one, and that's the Mike Tyson story. And so Mike Tyson, when he had a 3-fight deal with Frank Warren here in England, and it was a big deal. And it was the back end of his career. And Mike Tyson, when he came to England in London, took him to Brixton. The press are going mad. It was going crazy over Mike Tyson being in England. And I'm at home and watching it on the news. God, Mike Tyson's here. And Mike Tyson was fighting Louis. He was fighting in London, and he was training at the Grosvenor Hotel on Park Lane. And Frank Warren rang me up and said, "Johnny, I want you to come down and meet Mike." I'm like, "Oh my, yeah, sure, Frank." Really cool. Yeah, sure, no problem. I put the phone on. I went, yes, because I'm world champion, so I'm supposed to be hard. So I'm like, yes. So I thought, I'm like everybody else. I'm a fanboy. Like, Mike Tyson's here. And so I got the train to London, got the tube from King's Cross to Marble Arch, walked down Park Lane. And I'm going through it in my head, right? Walk in, be cool, just stand straight, just stand tall. Remember, I'm like, I'm supposed to be Mr. Tough Man. I'm like, Mike Tyson, be cool. Everybody's going to see it. Got to the Grosvenor and looked through the door downstairs in the ballroom. There's a ring in the middle of the in the ballroom, and there's a presser there, and the public are there. They're either side of the place. And Mike Tyson, I'm watching through the window, thinking, oh, it's my time. And Mike Tyson just finished sparring, and then I thought, here we go. And I boom walked in like a gunslinger, like I'm thinking everyone will see Johnny Nelson knows Mike Tyson. And walked in, I'm like to the public, all right. Walking like I'm walking onto a yacht. And then the presser there, Johnny Nelson there, and I walked across. Frank went, "Johnny, come here." Walked across, and Mike just got the ring, and Frank said, Mike said, "This is Johnny Nelson. I know who he is." I'm like, okay, be cool. Took his hand, shook his hand. I'm shaking his hand like everybody's seen this, like shaking his
2 minute
hand,
handshake.
like I'm on this level here, shaking his hand. And Mike just kept my hand and turned to Frank and said, "Is this the third opponent?" And I'm like, what? Shaking his hand, still like, what the fuck? So Frank said, yeah, we just not discussed the details yet. I'm like, shit. I'm smiling away like that. And Mike said, "You want some of that, champ?" I went, yeah, sure, no problem. Well, I'm thinking, bollocks. I don't want to fight, but I've got to be cool now because everybody's watching me. Be careful what you wish for. And so I let go of his hand and had a bit of a chit chat. And I walked out. And in my head, I'm thinking, it's like someone who's just got a big wet trout and whack in my face. I'm like thinking, shit, how do I get out of this? I'm fighting Mike Tyson. He'll kill me. So remember, Mike's heavyweight. Yeah, I'm like cruiserweight. I looked at this man. He's got size 15 feet. He's thick, solid. I thought, this guy's going to eat me alive. Anyway, so I walked out and I pressed saying, "Johnny Nelson fighting Mike Tyson." I'm like, God. Anyway, went home, tried to keep it on the low key because I thought, my wife's going to kill me if she finds out I'm fighting Mike Tyson. So I didn't say anything. And when she found out, I said, "Oh, no, it's just publicity. It's just publicity." And anyway, next fight, he knocked out Julius Francis. Julius Francis was sponsored by the Daily Mirror on the bottom of his boots. So when he got knocked out, his boots were in the air like that. Got paid 30 grand. This is how bad he knew he was getting done.
Wow.
And then he was fighting Louis Savarese next in Scotland. And so Frank said, "Johnny, we want you up there in Scotland. Just to help pick up the fight." I'm like, "We've not really discussed this yet." I went, yeah, sure, no problem. We've not had the conversation yet about whether or not I want it or not. I don't want this, but now it's public knowledge. Everybody's like, "Johnny Nelson's fighting Mike Tyson." I'm like, oh God almighty. I don't get out of this gracefully. And when I went up to Scotland, and Mike Tyson was boxing Louis Savarese, and when he hit Louis Savarese, the referee gets in the way, hits the referee as well with his forearm. They fall on the floor. They stop the fight. Mike Tyson wins. Mike Tyson runs to ringside. That's him telling a story. Mike Tyson you see Mike Tyson run to ringside with one of his henchmen behind, shouting somebody at ringside. You can't see that somebody at ringside. That somebody's me. I'm sat there. You sure you want some of that, motherfucker? She'll fuck you up. And I'm like, oh. So this is that moment again. So like when you're a kid and your mom says you're getting at 10:30, and she said getting at 9 o'clock, and you're thinking, what am I going to say? And some rubbish falls out your mouth. This is one of those moments. I'm like, shit, what should I say? What should I say? And I went, he said, you sure you want some of that? You sure you having some of that? But he's looking. What's Johnny Nelson? I went, just get yourself fit, fat boy. And everybody thought, my wife went, dickhead. Oh my God, dickhead. And so you can see the press one, dickhead. Fat boy. And Mike's like, what do you say? And it just came, I thought, oh, Johnny, dickhead, what have you said that for? And anyway, we were left and then went back to the hotel. When we got back to the hotel, I wanted to go to the after party. Afterwards, I'm on the 5th floor or something. Mike, I assumed, was staying in the penthouse. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. Getting the lift. When I get in the lift to go down, the lift stops at about floor 2 or 3. I can hear the music downstairs. Door opens. Mike Tyson, bodyguard, the one that was, and his solicitor. I thought, oh, bollocks. So Mike, head went to one side, give it that one. And so I'm trying to be cool, like, no big deal. You getting in, champ? He went, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. So Mike goes to step forward and his solicitor put his hand in front of him and said, no, we'll get the next lift. And I'm like, cool, man. That's cool. Just trying to be all like, that's cool. And the door's shutting, and as the door's shutting, his like henchman, his man behind him, Crocodile they called him. Fuck you up, man, fuck up. As the door's shutting like that. And we've all done it when we've been in the lift, and you could save it to open to let somebody else in, but you don't. This was one of those moments. So that when the lift got to that point where you knew you couldn't open it again, I went, fuck off. Boom. Door shut. When the door shut, I'm like, oh shit. I think I've messed up there. So when the lift got down to the ground floor, I walked back up 5 flights of stairs and went to my bed. I didn't go anywhere. And I thought, never gonna happen. Unfortunately, the fight didn't take place because I'd have done him anyway. Because Frank and Mike had a disagreement, allegedly. Frank said to Mike, look, have what you want. It's on me. Put it on my tab. So when he was in London, in the first fight, and I think Frank's probably thinking he's going to buy a tie or maybe a watch or a pair of shoes or something like that. I think Mike got something like a Ferrari. And so I've got these things all transferred over to America. So it was a big bill.
Oh, wow.
And so obviously Frank was upset about it. So I gather, allegedly, Frank took it out of his purse. So Mike was a bit upset with him. So when he came for the second fight against Luis Alvarez, Mike refused to do any publicity for it. He'd stay in his room. He's just like, he won't have it. And so Frank went up to the room to he said, look, what's going on here? I had some friends that were security in the room. There was a little altercation in the room. And they had to jump on Frank to save Frank from Mike. And then if you look at the fight, Frank's in the ring with a tartan suit on, looking dapper, with a black eye and makeup on.
No way.
And you see Mike just glance at him like, Mike whacked him. So unfortunately, the deal was off because Mike refused to work with him again. I think Mike was scared of me, if I'm honest with you. Anyway, after that, years later, I have to do like a lot of after dinner events hosting with Mike. And Mike keeps saying, "Go on, tell him about when I nearly fucked you up." And we're laughing about it. But the funny thing was, and it was another lesson learned, and it was kind of clarification with Mike. And he's a very, very, very clever guy. Very clever guy. So misunderstood. And he said, there was a woman sat at the table in front. He said, see that woman there? He said, I could give her $50 million and that would ruin her life. And I'm like, yo, why don't you give me the $50 million and ruin my life? He said, no, John, you don't understand. I'd give her $50 million. She'd buy a house, maybe 2, maybe 3. A car, maybe 2, maybe 3. jewelry, clothes, go on holiday, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then she'll think I'm lonely, I want to take my mates with me, but they can't afford to go. So she's going to have to pay for them to go as well. They're going to want to dress like she dresses and live the lifestyle and go to the posh restaurants because they haven't got the money she's got. So now she's paid for all her friends that she's grown up with, the people that make her feel comfortable, to be with her. And then what's going to happen is she's going to think, hold on a minute, are you my friends or are you just coming because I'm paying you? And the friends are going to be looking at her thinking, we're not doing what, you're not our boss. Just because you're paying us, we don't have to do what you want. You're not better than me. Then all of a sudden it makes their relationship dysfunctional. So all the things that she was used to, that she grew up with, the people around that made her feel at home and at peace, that dynamics are going to change. He said, and that will be the beginning of the end because she'll be lost. She'll be lonely. So money doesn't give you the happiness you think. It creates more problems if you don't handle it correctly. He said, when I was 17, I didn't have a bank account. When I was 19, I had $300 million in the bank. I thought I was God. Nobody said no to me. He said, I've done some bad things. So everything I deserve, everything I've done, I deserve it. And that's how he took it. And I thought, you know what, that's so true. He said, I'm surprised I'm still alive. So he understands.
Yeah.
But it was such a lesson and understand. I thought, you know what, you're right. You're right. And I'm quite sure, it's like when you're at work, you've got the boss and the employees. And the boss is never really one of the lads or lasses when they're there because he's the boss. So you don't do certain things around the boss, even though he tries as much as possible to integrate himself. And so that's the saying. That's what money does, because not everybody's in that situation to go to Acapulco and go into some beautiful hotel and stay. So you got to pay to keep your people with you. Mm-hmm. But then the dynamics change because those people think, I'm coming to have a laugh, but I don't work for you. And it's just, you can see the breakdown, and it's just how people look at things differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think before we wrap it up, have you got a message for maybe people who are listening, watching today, men who are struggling? What would you say to them?
Boys, you've seen me get a team. I think it was a fly actually. And I'm just saying, own who you are. Own who you are. Don't be afraid to talk. And certain things will upset you. Certain things will get the better of you. Certain things you will not understand. You'll think you're on your own. You think you're the only person that thinks like this. It's only happening to you. It isn't. There are many of us that it's happening to. We just don't talk to each other. Women are genius at it. They talk to each other. And we call them gossips. We'll do whatever. But they're self-medicating. You find the right person, find that right mentor, that right friend, that right person that gets you, that can create a selfless act where you can talk to them and they don't benefit at all from what you're doing, what you're saying, or being around you. You'll feel comfortable talking to that person, or get a stranger. And I don't mean, it can't be any stranger. It needs to be the right stranger that understands, that can listen. Not just tell you what you should be doing and what you're doing wrong. You need someone to help lift you so you believe in yourself. Self-validation, believe in yourself. You know what you're capable of doing. Just because everybody says you can't do it doesn't mean it's true. If I listened to everybody else in my career coming through, Johnny, you're rubbish, why are you boxing? I would never have ended up world champion. People look at my career and think 13 amateur fights, winning 3, and you stuck at it. You lost your first 3 professional fights and you end up setting a world record of defenses. So that's the example. If you are pig-headed enough and you think, this is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it, this is what I want. If you can think it and you know what you want, you can achieve it. But when you start to listen to those voices, everybody telling you can't do it, and then when you start to believe in it, you're making the job harder for yourself. So it's believing in yourself. Self-validation. Self-validation is you. You've got to believe in you. It doesn't matter if nobody else believes in it. Believe in you. Talk to each other. That's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we'll end on that, and can't thank you enough for inviting us to your home and being our first guest. I mean, like I said, we couldn't have got a better guy, because you're everything what we're about and what we're trying to. So
I appreciate that.
Thank you,
appreciate that. And you know what?
Thank you very much.
Good luck with Glenn McCrory. He's a good guy, an amazing story. And I think you're setting precedent in regards to getting people like that that'll tell you the heart. It's not all good. It's not all stars and stripes. It's it's real. It's real stuff.
Yeah.
We are no different from anybody else.
Absolutely. Cheers, Johnny.
Thank you.
Thank you.